What if it doesn't work and I somehow faked my way through an entire ADHD diagnosis? I feel like I am an imposter and I still feel that way about my autism diagnosis. I don't know if it's working. After like an explosion on a movie, that ringing sound, somewhere between tight and heavy. I just had like a big overwhelm of anxious feeling. I could want for these things to work so badly that I'm just gonna gaslight myself into believing that they are. It's just so quiet. I think with joy or relief. I didn't realize how bad my brain was. It's been 6 years since I've been able to do that.
Hi, hello, my name is Autistic and I am Kristen. Sorry. I am Kristen and I am autistic, and recently I was diagnosed with ADHD. One thing I have been doing on my other social platforms is kind of documenting that journey to diagnosis, as well as documenting the journey through medication. However, what I noticed was that the videos I was recording were really quite long, and let's be honest, those other platforms are just not the right place for long form content. So what I am going to do is I am going to share them on here. So if you have ADHD, or you think you might have it and you might be a late diagnosed woman or mother, this is potentially a video series for you to get some, I guess, lived experience, insight into what it feels like to go through diagnosis. Well, you can go see that on my page, but to go through the experimentation process of medication, because it's not a straightforward process no matter what everyone else seems to depict it as. It's not that simple and clear. And because I'm a scientist, I really approached the experimentation of trialing different kinds of ADHD medication through that kind of scientific lens that was coupled with obviously my lived experience lens. So what you're going to see first is day one, already edited as though it's like, I don't know, TikTok friendly, because I unfortunately was delete happy and deleted the original clips for when I edited and uploaded that first day.
Today's day one on ADHD medication and I feel like I'm going to be sick. I can't even open it. I need to take this before I explain any more, because otherwise I'm going to chicken the fuck out. Okay, it's 9:10 a.m. And the reason that I feel like I'm going to be sick is because I am so anxious. And I have been anxious for days. I have been anxious since like maybe the day before my final like assessment session, where essentially if you missed it, I was diagnosed formally, finally, with ADHD combined. So I'm struggling a lot. And I'm so anxious about this medication. One, because what if it doesn't work and I somehow faked my way through an entire ADHD diagnosis with a psychiatrist who's so well trained? I feel like this could happen. I feel like I am an imposter and I still feel that way about my autism diagnosis. So why wouldn't I feel that way about the ADHD diagnosis? And I'm really afraid that taking this medication and nothing happens is going to show I'm a fraud. I'm also terrified that taking this is going to give me a panic attack, because the first time I took an antidepressant, that gave me a panic attack, but also that was probably not because of the antidepressant. It was probably because of the fact that I was so fried that when I finally like surrendered, my body just gave up. Okay, 9:10. Vyvanse takes approximately 2 hours to start seeing some effects, and it lasts for around 14 hours, I think. So I'll probably go to bed at 11 p.m. I don't really know what's going to happen. I will check in throughout the day and we will see if this does anything at all. It's 10:05 a.m. It's only been on board for 55 minutes, so it's probably not super effective yet. I haven't crashed the fuck out yet. I have cleaned the lounge room, the little like play area by the kitchen. I have cleaned the kids' bedrooms, made their beds, all of that stuff. But that's probably all like either a placebo effect or simply the fact that I don't have any children with me right now for the first time in like a week. I did remember to go and get the groceries from Click and Collect, and I put them away the moment I brought them inside. I have a diabolical headache. However, I woke up with that and I had it all of yesterday. We'll keep going. I need to clean the dining room and the playroom and the office, and then I'm going to try and do some work. But I also desperately feel like a shower. Anyways, we'll see. It's currently 10:30 a.m. I don't know if it's really in effect yet. I feel like I got distracted, as I usually do, particularly by notifications. So I got a notification that my manager messaged me about. Like a journo had a media request, and then also a couple of ads finally got approved, and he requested a storyboard, and for some reason I've just dropped everything to go and do that. So I don't know if it's working. I don't know. It's 11:47 a.m. I'm feeling slow. Yeah. Kind of feels like, you know, after like an explosion on a movie and it's just like that ringing sound, like, but not, there's no ringing. It just, I don't know. It's been 2.5 hours since I took medication. I completed like a full like concept overview, scene by scene script, and caption for a paid partnership that's coming up. I had a call with my manager, and then I had a big call. How long was that? A really long call with a journo for 42 minutes. Man, that was a long time. Talking about how Meta is scraping all information, but like specifically the concern I think is around scraping the images of children and stories that parents post online about them for training their AI. So that was a really interesting chat. I feel like I stayed pretty like on topic and focused throughout the whole thing too, which is something I don't often do. It's 11:49, so I need to go and get some food because I know that it's lunchtime and I know I need to eat. And all I've eaten today is like a couple of scrambled eggs and some bacon. I haven't had a second coffee, but I'm not sure if I need one. I'm feeling a little bit sleepy. I don't know if it's my posture or if like my chest feels, it's somewhere between tight and heavy. I don't really know. I also need to go and get some laundry out of the machine, so I'm going to go do that now. I will report back later. Why does my body feel heavy? Like, why? It's 12:14 p.m. I clearly have not gotten up to go and eat because I'm not hungry. I am just so slow. But I'm not slow. Oh no. I asked ChatGPT, how would my body react to Vyvanse if I didn't have ADHD? I would have heightened focus or alertness, euphoria or mood elevation. I don't think I have euphoria. Increased energy or talkativeness. Definitely not. If anything, I'm slowing down. Decreased appetite. Well, yeah, but like I also haven't been hungry since I stopped breastfeeding. Restlessness or anxiety. There's like no anxiety. Irritability or mood swings. No. In some cases, racing thoughts or panic. Literally not. How would I feel if I do have ADHD? Clear thoughts, like mental fog has lifted. Improved focus, you can start and finish tasks more easily, yeah. Less internal chaos, thoughts feel more linear and less scattered. More control over impulses, less blurting, fidgeting or distractibility. Emotional stability, motivated and calm. Seems about right. The combination often surprises people. Time awareness improves. Better estimation of how long things take. Many people describe it as, this must be how other people feel all the time. How it might feel if the dose is too high or not a good fit. Jittery, anxious? No. Heart racing? No. Emotionally flat or not like myself? No. If anything, I feel like I can feel. I feel like I can feel. I feel like I can feel. If you have ADHD, you probably won't feel high, euphoric, or wired. Instead, you might just feel normal, functional, capable, present. That's because Vyvanse is correcting a neurochemical imbalance, not boosting a fully regulated system. I think I want to call my husband and tell him how I feel. Almost 4.5 hours after taking my dose. And I think that is when it's meant to reach its peak, maybe. How do I feel? I feel like I can feel my heart beating, but it's not fast. It's actually quite slow. I was just outside hanging the washing out, and my washing line's next to the pool filter, and the pool filter goes on a schedule every day. And so it was on, and I felt like nauseous. but my overstimulation typically presents as nausea, I think that's just the autism being overstimulated, because I do know that turning the ADHD down can turn the autism up, and potentially the like sensitivity to the environment maybe. I don't know. I definitely I've gotten work done, although I still haven't like purposefully sat down and like planned what my work is. I am still just like kind of shooting from the hip in terms of like a notification comes in and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that now. But when I was doing my like content briefs and stuff, I didn't need to put anything on in the background. I used to, my whole life, I've needed to either listen to music or more likely watch television shows while doing work. And not all, like pretty much new television shows too that I've never seen before, not replays. But I didn't need to do that. I didn't have any barriers to starting it, but also I got the notification, was like, oh yeah, I can do that now. I need to plan dinner, and I seem to not want to do that. And I don't know if that's just because it's really hard to plan dinner these days with my really little kids, or whether it's still like I'm fighting this like multi-step barrier. Genuinely, I don't know what to feed my kids. What do they even like to eat? Why am I struggling with this still? I think it's because they don't like to eat anything. So like no matter what I cook, they don't like it. Yeah, today doesn't feel like a plan and cook an excellent meal kind of day. Today is a just keep it chill and feed them what you know they'll eat kind of day. About an hour before I need to leave for school pickup, maybe a little bit longer. So I'm going to look at the content briefs from Red Nose, because I have some, like I said I would do some like pro bono ads for Red Nose Day, which is at the end of the month. So I should really get onto that and film and edit and upload that, and then probably do some of my research work. Just really tired. I'm really, really tired. Like I feel like I could probably nap. I'll check in again later. Okay, it is 2:37 p.m. I probably didn't need to make a coffee. I think I needed it more for like familiarity and emotional security than for caffeine, because now I'm feeling a bit funny, and that's probably because I'm putting caffeine on top of stimulants. So I have fed myself today, although I should probably take some crackers or something with me for school pickup, which I have to leave for in exactly 2 minutes. But I just scheduled Red Nose Day and I wanted to come on and do this update. So 2:38, day one. Honestly, we're doing really well. I think I've done a lot, and I need to grab my computer. Where's my work computer? I need to grab my work computer and do some drafting while I take my daughter to the playground after school, and then I'll pick my son up, because I can't get work done while my son exists, because he is crazy and little and almost 2, and that's fair. I'm starting to speed up again, clearly, because I'm talking a lot faster now. But I have a headache. I'm going to go take some Panadol, and then we will go from there. 6:05 p.m. How's mommy going? Good. Have I been normal, or have I been different this afternoon? Normal. That's good. That's very good. I'm just curious. You can tell me if I'm acting weird. You can tell me if I'm acting normal. I don't mind. I don't really feel like dinner, but you guys do. Both of you are fed. What else? I am not tired. I don't feel like the run to bedtime is going to be impossible. Feels pretty doable. I don't know. Sometimes I get so tired in the afternoons. I'm just like, oh, how am I ever going to make it to bedtime? But that's not the case right now. It is 6:40 and I just had like a big like overwhelm of like anxious feeling, I guess. That's not uncommon for this time of day, where I just have like a hormone drop, and I get that. But we are about 9.5 hours. So it could be the come down. 8:33 p.m. We are like 11 hours post-dose. 2 bedtimes. Didn't fall asleep in either of them, which is a win, because I hate falling asleep in them, because then I just don't shower. I feel like having a shower is doable, so maybe it's still working, or maybe having the medication on board all day meant that my body wasn't so fatigued all day that I've still got like spoons left over at the end of the day. I don't know. I feel like I got a decent amount done today. I feel like I wasn't nearly as anxious, but it could also very well be a placebo effect. I could want for these things to work so badly that I'm just going to gaslight myself into believing that they are working. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll try again tomorrow. I'll report back and we can go from there. Bye. Day 2 on Vyvanse after getting diagnosed, finally, with ADHD 4 days ago. So where we left off in the video last night was that it was 8 p.m. and I was like, I'd done my double kid put down, everything was done. However, I said that I might have insomnia, and I did in fact have insomnia. What I did not intend to happen though was that my insomnia would run into my child having a complete obliteration of sleep. I've had maybe 3 hours of broken sleep, which I don't think is a good thing. However, it's fine. We're moving on. I actually don't feel too bad. It's actually now 9:39 a.m., but I did make sure to make myself a proper breakfast. I had bacon and eggs, so I had healthy fats and carbs and protein and stuff, so that I've been told that if you're going to get the most out of the medication, you need to eat really well. So I did that. So at 6:50 this morning, I ate and then I had my medication. It should actually be starting to reach peak efficacy right now. I'm talking really fast. I'm really anxious. My breath's coming in really fast. And that is probably not to do with the Vyvanse. If anything, the Vyvanse isn't touching the sides of what's going on in my body. Although I do feel like my brain is still a little bit clearer. And instead of my brain ideas being scattered, they are a little bit more lined up. And I do have a good idea of what I need to do this morning. I will check back in later and let you know. But I should be reaching peak efficacy in the next hour or two. 12:10. I definitely feel like the Vyvanse is working now that I've gotten through that first meeting that I had that I was actually anxious about. However, during my meeting, the important anxiety-inducing meeting, my daughter's school called because she is sick. So I just had to go and get her and take her straight to the doctors. And I actually called the doctors on the way to go and get her. And I feel like I don't know if I would have been able to do that formally. I feel like sometimes I might have felt like it was a bit overwhelming and hard and been like, I don't want to have to do all these steps. I just want to go and get my kid and bring her home and give her a big cuddle and just snuggle down. But she's fine. And she was very happy to go to the doctors. And everything is great. And we did the doctors, we did the pharmacist, and then we headed home. And maybe I could have done that before, but I don't know. Placebo effect maybe. I just feel like a really competent person today. I think it's working. I am really tired, but that's because I slept for 3 hours last night. It is 2:28 p.m. I've done a ton of work. I've been so productive the last couple of days, but not like... Usually when I'm productive, it's because I've procrastinated for a really long time and I'm really anxious and there's a huge deadline and I am working frenetically. And I will intensively, I have the time. It's a stim, but it's an autistic stim and an ADHD stim. And the speed of my, that's what, like, I don't know, I guess regulates me when I'm in really intensive work. But I've been productive without the chaos and the anxiety and the driver and the feeling of guilt afterwards because I should have just done it much sooner if it only took that long. Whereas today, there's no guilt. I'm not working with this insane frenetic energy. I'm just working. And I think I feared that if I took this medication, that I was no longer going to be as good at my job because I wasn't going to be able to tap into that superpower of ADHD hyperfocus. That's not it at all. If anything, it was yet another disabling aspect of my brain because I am still just as clever, just as capable, but now my brain's thoughts are lined up instead of being literally everywhere. We do a task, then we finish it, and then we do another task, and we finish it. I don't know. But 2:30 p.m, day 2, Vyvanse. It's pretty good. 4:20 p.m, day 2. I am fast and kind of tense, but I have a lot to get done before I have to go and get the baby in literally 10 minutes. So I don't know if this is too heavy of a dose, if I'm still adjusting, but I feel like I'm moving really quickly and I'm really tense, which is the opposite of how I felt yesterday. So I don't know. We're going to finish where we're up to here and hopefully wind down a little bit. It's Friday. I don't even remember where we left this video off yesterday on day 2 because I didn't record anything at nighttime because once I get my kids, I am just flat out just surviving. Especially when I was solo parenting yesterday on 3 hours sleep, which I actually think we ended up figuring out it was only 2 hours sleep. So yesterday I feel like the medication worked, but I feel like I don't know if it worked or if I was just so hyped and sleep deprived. And we know that sleep affects the way that Vyvanse works. So I don't know if we can use
day 2 as a good barometer of how things are going to go. I don't know if we can really use the first week as a good barometer of how things are going to go long term. So I probably went to bed around 9:30, but I took melatonin to go to sleep because it was prescribed for me when the Vyvanse was prescribed, because I guess my psychiatrist just had great foresight. So I took a melatonin, and my husband was on duty because he came home last night from his trip away. And so he was on duty with the baby. So I was able to actually just sleep, which is very important and it's a privilege that I get to have, because for 6 years of my life, it hasn't been that way. I was the breastfeeding parent, so I didn't get to have uninterrupted night's sleep. So it's actually feels like quite a privilege to be able to do that now. However, I woke up at about 5 o'clock this morning, feeling very I don't know what the right word is. If you've got ADHD as a female I think it's like the hyperactive type where you just you can't stop moving it, but it's like also overstimulating this kind of movement. It really doesn't feel good to do that right now. But that's how I woke up feeling. So I feel like either I was wired or that's just what my body is like, but now I can see the contrast because the Vyvanse might be working in slowing my body down, and I'm already feeling used to it, so it feels weird to go back to my original level of hyperactivity. I took it at about 7 o'clock this morning with a good breakfast, because that's the warning. You always have to take it with good food. I woke up with a pretty gnarly headache, but again, I'm not sure what is the originator of that headache, because I had it before I started Vyvanse. And it could just be that I'm so exhausted and so wiped from the whole process of diagnosis, because that tends to have quite an emotional side to it. And my body tends to carry emotion physiologically rather than processing it logically, because my brain just doesn't work with emotion like that. So it's now 9:15 a.m. It's definitely already working. The biggest things I've noticed in the last 3 days is that I am a more patient, present, and just lighter parent. I am a playful parent, but I feel like that playfulness just is brighter and more sustained. And I feel like I am more present with my kids, and I'm more patient with my kids. I'm a patient person by nature because I understand a lot about kids, but wow, my patience is even more. And I feel like it's because I don't have as much head noise. I'm not getting as overstimulated. Also, I feel like I have more spoons in my body because my body isn't draining itself throughout the day. So I have more capacity for things because it's not overstimulating itself, because my ADHD would trigger my autism overstimulation and meltdowns, and that felt awful. The other thing I think I've noticed over the last few days is my hyperfixations. So my autistic hyperfixations are very intense. So I have a great deal of focus when it comes to my work, particularly when it's things that I enjoy and that are my special interests. And I started a new position yesterday, and it was a special interest that I haven't really got to dive into in a long time or ever, but I really like it. And so I just kind of vanished into my work for 4 hours straight. And the only time I actually stopped to take a break was because my child was home sick and she came in asking for food. And so I find it really hard as an autistic person to stop what I'm doing and to do other tasks, particularly when I'm in a hyperfixation. But when you have a small child, you don't have a choice, really, and it's a bit of discomfort. But the way I mitigated some of that discomfort was I said, I will absolutely do that. I just need to finish off this part of the work that I'm on right now. So please go and ask Google to set a 5-minute timer. And because it's an auditory timer, when that went off and we had a mutually agreed upon time, I got up and I was able to go and make food. So I feel like the Vyvanse is also giving me the capacity to make plans and make transitions easier, which is really interesting. But my hyperfixations are very intense. So I am very deep into things and I'm finding it really hard to stop until it's finished. So I think I just need to be more careful about what I'm designating for myself to do, especially on work days. I think this will be really interesting when I have a mum day. I haven't had a mum day yet. It's the weekend tomorrow, so I guess we'll see. Because work days are very different. They're very heavy focus days, and I don't know if the Vyvanse is going to be a good thing on the weekend or not a good thing. I guess that's the luxury of being able to choose. It's not like an antidepressant. You don't have to take it every day. Although I am the kind of person that's very rigid and likes to be consistent. And I also know that I'm taking this Vyvanse, and even if I notice negative side effects, it's going to be very hard for me to say I'm going to stop and I'm going to change to something else, because I'm so rigid in getting things done and sticking to them that it's really hard for me to go, actually this isn't working. So I think I'm going to have to lean on the support of my husband and have my psychiatrist make that final call in a month when we meet. And I think I'll probably be so rigid that I will stick to taking Vyvanse every single day until my next psychiatric appointment, unless things get really bad. But like, that's the challenge of being autistic and ADHD and having this cognitive rigidity and inflexibility accompanied when you're looking at things like medication for ADHD, particularly when I am getting benefits. I guess we'll see.
It's 10:50. I'm praising, don't mind the dressing gown, but that's so silent. It's like the world's ringing after an explosion. It's just so silent. Feeling from day one is happening again. And I keep having these moments of wanting to cry, I think with joy or relief, maybe, because ever since I became a mother, and particularly a mother to two, my ability to focus deeply, to be able to lock in on a task and think quite that deeply has been so hard to obtain, so transient, and I've had to find ways of getting around it, and it felt like my work was less good quality and just suffering because of it, and I felt so guilty about that. I didn't realize how bad I felt about it, how bad my brain was, until the last few days where I've just been able to lock straight into deep, concentrated thought. It's not like I've never been able to do this, because I have. I absolutely have. You don't get through a PhD without having that. But I think I had so many accommodations for myself when I didn't have children, and has had so much downtime in so many ways of supporting myself to be able to get to that deep, concentrated approach, that I was able to do that. And it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years since I've been able to do that, and it feels so good. It's just so quiet. It's not just the quietness though, it's the anxiety that my entire life has had. I don't even know how to describe that. I sent emails today that I would procrastinate and probably never send, and I sent it without even a single barrier, without even faltering. I was just like, oh, here's a problem, here's how we're going to fix it. Better go and send this email to my editor-in-chief so she can do it. And it's just, has ADHD really been something that I could have solved long ago that has contributed to a significant number of my challenges? I think when I got the autism diagnosis, and there's no medication you can take to stop your autism, it's all hard work, accommodations and understanding, psychoeducation, like all those kinds of things. And so I just accepted who I was and just felt awful within myself about some of these things. And now I don't, because I took a pill and it took it away. This probably doesn't make a ton of sense because you haven't been living in my life or living in my brain, but I have been deeply struggling with work for years. And I've just assumed that I'm an imposter and a failure and I'm never going to be good at this. And I'm just clinging on, and it's all luck that I'm getting anywhere, and that I'm not a great scientist and I'm not good at my job, and I let everybody down all of the time. In every aspect of my life, that's how I feel. And now it's just gone. The last 3 days, that anxiety has more than halved or just disappeared. 2:30 p.m. and I need to do school pickup. So I am going to report, I think it kind of feels like it's wearing off. Like I had my really good focus day earlier and now it's starting to wear off. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I will report back later.
Hi, hello, it's me, editing Kristen. This series of videos is really long, and it does speed up as the days go on because I have less observations, but these first early videos are obviously very long because I am thinking about things in a fine-grained way. So this is the end of day 3, and what I will do is I will immediately start jumping into editing day 4 and beyond. I'm not sure how many videos it'll be, but we will get there eventually. So take this and know that the next one is eventually coming.